Hello YouTube, it's Little Derek.comics back with another video, and today I am going to be running through the tutorial for Hunter x Hunter Nin Impact. So I'm doing this in the demo mode because I don't have the game because I'm broke, but everything you can pretty much learn about this game is gonna be in this first demo. So I'm gonna go to a story and then we're gonna start with the tutorial mode and I'll just give you a rundown of the basics of the game. All right, so right now we're in Combat X Basics and we're talking about movement. So, this is a 2D fighter. This isn't something like Tekken where you work on an XYZ axis. You're pretty much going up, down, left, right. And here are some basic movement options. So you have crouch. This is where you just, crouch like any other game. You walk backwards, you walk forward, you jump, and that's the bare basics of it. And, most movement options in a lot of video games, especially fighting games, are kind of standard. It's pretty easy. There's no X to jump or anything like that. It's just directional inputs, up, down, left, right. Now, the interesting thing about this is there are a couple other options. So you have a dash. A lot of fighting games, you'll have a forward dash and a back dash. You also have an aerial dash. So you can jump up, forward dash, jump up, back dash, whether it be, a forward dash or a forward jump into forward dash, or forward jump in a back dash, forward jump. You can do all that. And then there's one more thing. So you have a high jump or a super jump, depending on the game. So you crouch and then immediately go into a jump. So it'll look like this. And the interesting thing about these options is that you can kind of cancel them into one another. So you can dash into a super jump. You can super jump into a dash. And, even if you just, dash forward and do a forward jump, that'll give you a lot of momentum. So, play around with a lot of these movement options. All right, next up, we're going to get into some normals. So when we say normals in fighting games, we're basically talking about your basic attacks that aren't, Hadouken, Shoryuken, Shinku Hadouken. That's all that. So you will usually have a light, or in this game at least, you'll have a light, a medium, and a heavy. And so the light attack is pretty much just a quick jab. It'll be a quick attack for you to start combos, to kind of catch an opponent lacking. A heavy attack is going to be your strongest attack, but it'll be the slowest one, and you can get punished pretty hard if you miss it. And a medium attack is kind of the best of both worlds. It'll do a decent bit of damage, and it comes out relatively quick. So you're usually gonna want to use a light attack to catch somebody off guard and kind of get in, start a combo. A medium attack is good for counters and starting combos, and a heavy attack is good for like big punishes and things like that, and combo enders. And you also have a crouch, light, medium, heavy, and an aerial, light, medium, and heavy. And these are good for continuing combos. These are good. All of the crouching ones are pretty much good for starting combos. A lot of the time, if you're starting a combo in a MVC-like game, you're going to be starting with a crouch light, crouch medium, or a crouch heavy. And the aerial ones are good for continuing combos or getting overheads. So these are all, you pretty much have 9 different normals per character in this game, just basic normal attacks. And then we're going to talk about specials. So specials are pretty much what are like your Hadoukens and your Shoryukens and all that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep saying that. But Gon has 2 different special attacks. So he's got this kind of headbutt, this forward headbutt, goes a decent distance, and then he's got this fishing pole that pretty much goes full screen. So yeah, that's insane. But everybody has, I want to say, at least a couple of specials. So, these are, and then you can use them, you can combo into them from your other attacks. So they can be really useful in combos and just in a lot of specific situations in general. All right, now let's talk about Ninpact attacks. This is kind of one of the unique things about this game. It kind of goes into the whole nin system. So you have like 3 different nin attack or nin packed attacks, and you have to cancel most of these from another move. So you'll have to go, say, a normal into the attack or a special into attack. So say I go light into my nin attack, then it'll go and do like this kind of stagger attack, and that's good for continuing combos. And then you have your crouching one, and the crouching one is good for continuing combos. This is basically your universal launcher. So you'll go, I can go light, medium, heavy, and then I can go into my crouch nin pack button. And then from there we have a hunting jump. So the hunting jump comes only after the crouch nin pack, which comes only after a special or a normal. You can also cancel it from your nin stance, which we'll talk about in a second, but you can go nin stance into the launcher, but you can't do the launcher on its own. But from the launcher, you can do a jump. You can cancel directly into either a forward jump, a neutral jump, or a back jump. And then one more that we have to talk about is the jumping nin pack. So this is the only one that you can do as a normal attack. You can either do it from another attack, or you can just start it off. You can just jump in and then just use that. So you don't have to do like your heavy attack as a combo finisher. You could also use this depending on the combo, and you can go heavy into the airborne jump nin pack. So depending on the combo, you might want to use one or the other, but it's just to keep in mind that you can use the jump nin pack at any given time, unlike the other one. So, and then let's talk about arts. So the arts are kind of almost another form of special move. You can kind of think of the V system from Street Fighter V. It kind of works a lot like that. Every character has a little extra unique special that's good for continuing combos. It's its own unique button, but it says R2 for PlayStation. Gon does his Jenkins stance, and if you just let it rock, then it'll just automatically do the rock version. If you press square, then it'll also give you the rock version. If you want scissors, you'll press triangle. And if you want paper, you press circle, and it'll do like a projectile attack. Now, the interesting thing about this is you could also use it in the air. And the air version will automatically just aim downward, like no matter which version you do. But it's just a good option to have, especially for combos. Also, you can aim them upward on the ground. So instead of me doing like normal rock, I can go and do like a rock that points upward. So I can go rock like this, or I can go rock like that, and then he'll go. And that'll basically be like its own launcher, really. I don't know if you could like jump into that, but yeah, it kind of works as its own launcher. Same with the scissors, I can launch them up. Same with the paper, or if I wanted like an anti-air, these are all good anti-airs. So yeah, that's basically how his art works. Now let's talk about aura arts. So these take a little bit of meter. You see this meter at the bottom where it's like this will take 1 gauge of meter, and it's basically a super attack. So you can cancel specials and everything into this, but it's basically a super attack. I just go, I hold my art attack and my nin attack at the same time, and it'll give me that super move. And then I can also continue, at least in the case of Gon, I can continue into another combo. But yeah, these are very, very strong attack options. All right, so let's talk defense. So we're going to do a guard, and that's basically how you block. Now, for those of you who don't really play traditional fighting games, you block by going backwards, okay? So, and there's a couple interesting things about that. You saw right there when I like went over him or under him, I have to block in a different direction because that's a cross up, but we're not going to talk too much about that in this video. But the main things I want to talk about is standing guard and crouching guard. So with a standing guard, I can block normals and overheads, but if he were to hit me with a low attack, then I will fall. And I can crouch block, and then that'll block the low attack, but with crouch block, I can't block overhead. So, you know, you have to switch between the two. Most of the time, you'll be safe with a crouch block. There's very few overheads, and most of them are gonna be like jump ins, and you can kind of see those coming a mile away and react to them. But, you know, just keep those things in mind. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Nin stance. So this basically works as like the parry system in Street Fighter 6, where you can kind of just tank through any attack. The difference is here you'll still kind of take the damage, but you can pretty much tank through everything with this. And once you do this, you can also cancel it into your Nimpact buttons. So you can go and then cancel that into your normal Nimpact, or you can cancel it into the launcher. But yeah, or you can cancel it into the launcher, and that might not seem too important because, you know, he's kind of just getting pushed back. But depending on where you are, like let's just say that we're in the corner, right? But yeah, let's say we're in the corner and now I block him. I can hit him before his yo-yo even comes out. And if he didn't have the range that he did, I could do a launcher into it as well. So these are very useful. It's harder for you to land it on Killua because he has the yo-yo, but these are some great defensive options. You can get a nice little reversal option off of it, and he can't really do anything about it. So this is very good for defense. And then we have our piercing attack, which is kind of one of my least favorites, and I'm gonna explain why. So basically what the piercing attack is a throw. So you can either forward dash, and if you're close enough, then you'll get a throw. You can also input forward heavy or backward heavy, and it'll give you the same thing. There's no back throws in this game. It's just, you know, throw, and you can even continue a combo off of it. The thing that I don't like is that I've never been too much of a fan of proximity based attacks in fighting games. I like them sometimes, but I've never liked that, because Street Fighter Alpha did a similar thing to where if you're, you know, close and you press a heavy button or maybe a forward heavy, you get the throw. But the thing with that is forward heavy is also your special, and so is back heavy. So if you're too close and you want to do a special for whatever reason, maybe you called in your assist, you might get a throw. I didn't even want to throw just then. But, and then if you're trying to, you know, forward dash, maybe you wanted to like fake them out and go for a jump. If you're too close, you know, you're in the heat of the battle and you try to do that, then now you've thrown them. I really don't like that. I feel like there's some other way that they could have done it. I know there's X and circle are kind of binded to something else, and maybe they didn't want to get too complicated, but I don't like that personally. And then lastly, we have our rush combo. So this is basically an auto combo, and you pretty much hold the little rush button or whatever, and then you can just mash, say square, triangle, or circle, and it'll give you a combo. So right there, I just mashed square and the auto combo button the whole time. And then I can also mash triangle. It'll give me a slightly different one. And there it goes again. And lastly, I can do my circle attack, just mashing it. And then it'll give me another one. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why would I do a normal combo if I could do those? Well, you know, these won't always get the job done. Sometimes you might want a combo that switches sides. Sometimes these might not do as much damage. You might need something different for the situation. And not only that, but usually your manual combos will just be better in terms of damage and scaling and everything like that. So this is a good kind of beginner way to learn how combos work. But after a while, you kind of want to break it down into your own thing. So, you know, use them to kind of learn the basics. Like you see how I can just kind of see that he knocks him up, right? So I can go, yeah, and then I can kind of, you know, continue the combo. It's not exactly like it, but, you know, I'm kind of figuring out just by seeing it. So Do your own combos. They'll be better in the long run, but there's nothing wrong with starting off with the auto combos. All right, now we're moving on to Team X Cooperation, and this is basically going to be about your assists. So you have 2 different assists. This is a 3-man game, so you can call in your second character or your third character, I should say. And the way you do this on console, it'll be L1 or R1. These are your assist buttons. So you can tag in and assist, but you cannot tag them at the same time. So, you know, I have to wait till Killua is off screen to call in Hisoka and vice versa. Now, it doesn't matter. You don't have to necessarily call out Killua first. I can call out Hisoka first, and then I can call out Killua, but I can never call out both at the same time. And they are on a cooldown. So while that little cooldown is going up, I can't call them out either. So try not to use both at the same time. Also, you can use different assists. So you saw the first time Killua threw out like the electricity, but I can also call him out and he can do the little rush. Hisoka can throw the cards. They don't have to do the same thing. And then you see like, say if I did this, lightning again, Hisoka, now he's throwing the cards upward. You have different assist options. You kind of have to remember them, but they don't do the same thing depending on what input you give. And the cooldown is apparently also dependent upon which assist you call out, like what direction you do with the assist. So yeah, keep all of that in mind. This is how basic assists work. And that leads us into switching. So if I say wanted to switch out to Killua, you know, I can do it like that. I didn't explain what I did. So yeah, assist is basically, or switching is basically, you call out your assist, and then once they're out, you press that same assist button again. So I'm gonna call out Gon, and then I'm gonna switch back to Gon. So you just press the button twice, and there's a few interesting things about this. So why would you switch, right? So this is a tag team game, but you can see when I started this off, all of them were in like the yellow bar, but after I switched, they got all their health back. So after their cooldown from them switching, if they have any recoverable health, they'll get their health back. Once the cooldown is done and they've safely tagged in, they'll start regenerating their health. So that's one reason to switch. But there's also a few cool things you can do with combos. So with calling in assists, it's good for combos because I can go light, medium, and then call in Hisoka. Also, one thing I didn't mention is that you can actually tag out both assists in a combo. You just have to be kind of strategic about it. So I can go light, medium, heavy, call in Hisoka. Dang it, this is gonna take me a minute.
A few minutes later.
I can go light, medium, heavy, call in Hisoka, do it again, launch, call in Killua, and then, you know, so I tagged in both characters in the combo. So that's one thing you can do with tagging in, but another thing with like switching, I can go light, medium, heavy, call in Hisoka, and then, dang it, I'm so bad at this.
A few minutes later.
But yeah, with switching, I can go light, medium, heavy, call in Hisoka, do it again, and then while Gon's doing that, I can just kind of do whatever as Hisoka. So you can be really creative with the switches, and you can kind of active tag between each of the characters. So just keep all of that in mind. This can get really hectic and really crazy, and there's a lot of keeping track of things that you can do in this game with the characters. All right, so right here we have switching arts, and this is basically you tagging in your characters or your teammates with 1 bar of meter, and for that you will automatically get them out with their super. And this is a very safe option. I was testing it out earlier, and you can get hit out of this, but it's very hard. It's very hard from what I experienced. So, you know, that's one cool option you have. And then the other option is reversal switch. So basically, while you're blocking, you can kind of do like a reversal and call in your teammates. Now, the thing about this is you have to be careful because you can get hit if you're not blocking. But you can also, you know, try to hit. They might power through you. I think her specifically, I think she powers through you because that's part of her abilities. But you know, when you tag in, you could also throw. You can also do a throw out of this. It's risky, and this also does cost meter. So you do want to be careful with this. It's not quite as reliant as like the super, but you know, in this situation, you won't really be able to call out a super anyway. Like it's just not happening. But yeah, those are just a couple of options that you have. We are lastly going to talk about our ejection attack. Basically what this is what they call a snapback when you're playing like Marvel vs. Capcom or Dragon Ball FighterZ. And this is good for you tagging out the enemy team's assist. And you have to do this after a level 1 super. A level 1 super specifically, I don't think you can do this in any other super. So you do the super, and then you press forward and either one of the assist buttons to call out the respective assist from the other team. And this is cool for a couple reasons. One, say they tag in and they're trying to recover their health. If you bring them back in, they won't have recovered their health. So that's good for catching that. And also, if you see that a character or somebody isn't as strong with a certain character, you can tag them out and, you know, be aggressive with them. And it also puts them on a cooldown. The whole enemy team is on a cooldown, so they can't switch after you've done this for a good little minute. So this is really good to, and then you can finish off combos with it. So if you catch them in a combo, you can stick this in there. You don't have to worry about them blocking it as long as you string it in the combo. So really great ability in a tag fighter. You always want to use this in a tag fighter. And the last thing we are going to hit on is the Combat X maneuver section of this. So we are talking about quick gear. So what is quick gear? Basically, quick gear is one of your last lines of defense. It's a comeback mechanic, which you are definitely going to need in this type of game, because if you get stuck in a 3v1 situation, it's going to be very hard to come back from. So what does this do? It basically gives you an attack boost. It gives you a speed or a movement speed boost, and it also reduces the damage you take, if I'm not mistaken. And while you're blocking, you will not take damage. So this is very useful if you're just in like a tight situation. And the more of that quick gear meter you have, the little square with the number on it, the stronger this will be. And you fill up that meter by taking damage. So that's, like I said, why it's a comeback mechanic. Basically what you do is press your light and your Nin button at the same time, and it will give you this. And you can even, you know, cancel it from one of your like combo attacks. So you can go light, medium, and then, you know, knock them up, cancel into it, and continue your combo. And he'll glow blue whenever you do this. So, you know, you get an attack boost. It is good to stick in combos. You can just kind of do it raw as well. You don't have to like do it from a combo. You take damage, and you can use it across the match, but sometimes you might want to save it. So be careful how you use it. And lastly, we are going to be talking about our overgear mechanic. So this works very similarly to the quick gear, and it's just another kind of comeback option that you have. So same things apply. It'll give you a damage boost, it'll give you a movement boost, and a damage reduction, if I'm not mistaken. It'll also get the opponent off of you. So if you know, like the X Factor, I believe it's called, in Marvel vs. Capcom, or the kind of sparking effect in Dragon Ball FighterZ, these will get the opponent off of you. So with that, on top of the fact that you can, you know, cancel into this from combos as well, and you can also stack it with the overgear. And the way you do this is you know, press X in circle. So I can go bop, 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 and then, you know, cancel that. And then when you have both of them, he turns like green. And when it's just one, it's yellow. So quick gear is blue, and overgear is... Quick gear is blue, and overgear is like yellow on their own. And one other thing about Overgear, like I said, you kind of get them off you, and then, you know, even your air dashes have like hitboxes. So just your dash in general is part of your combo at this point. So yeah, you can do some really wild stuff, especially when you stack it. You can have like a crazy movement boost by doing this. But yeah, so yeah, Overgear is going to be your best friend in terms of a comeback mechanic, and it'll just make you super powerful. This is probably going to be the biggest part of this game. But with that being said, that is the whole tutorial breakdown for Hunter x Hunter Nin Impact. I really like this game. I'm probably gonna get it when it goes on sale. I think it's really fun, really unique. I know it's kind of hard to do a 3v3 fighter similar to MVC, especially when you've developed MVC, for it to not be MVC, but I think the systems that they have in place make it a nice fresh take on the kind of MVC title. So we might see this at EVO. Matter of fact, we're definitely going to see it at EVO France. We won't see it as like a main stage title for this EVO, but that's basically Nin Impact. So let me know if you like this game. Let me know if you like this game. Let me know if you like the breakdown. If you want to see more Nin Impact videos, I can make, you know, breakdowns on each of the characters if you guys want. But you know, let me know what else you'd like to see, and be sure to like, share, comment, and you know, subscribe for more content like this. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Let me show you an example. So I can go light, medium, heavy, switch in Hisoka, do it again, and so I can go light, medium, heavy, calling Hisoka, do it again. So I can go light, medium, heavy, calling Hisoka, do it again. So I can go light, medium, heavy, calling Hisoka, do it again. See, I had it earlier. Why isn't it doing it? So yeah, I can go light, medium, heavy, calling Hisoka. Oh my freaking gosh, dog. This is gonna take me all day for no reason.